So in this video, it's going to be a little different than what I've been doing lately, where it's been a little bit more kind of short and condensed and to the point videos. Today, I kind of just wanted to sit down and talk and kind of update you guys a little bit on things like my health and my recovery, and also talk about what I'm doing today, why I'm doing that, and just kind of air some things out. This is Strawberry, our stray cat that we took in, and she is just gonna hang out. You can probably also see our dog who is asleep on the couch here. We're in my living room, which isn't the usual setting, but this is where I can, film today, so we're making it work. But today I wanted to talk about a couple of things. I'm getting ready to head to the post office to ship a few things, one of them being this Mamiya RZ67. And I'm going to talk about why I'm doing that, because I've had some questions on Instagram, and rather than repeating the same thing over and over, I figured it might be helpful to talk about it here. And yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. But the first thing I'm going to be shipping out is the 16mm f1.4. This is a Fuji X lens, and this is a lens I've been borrowing for about a month now from Andrew, from Danae and Andrew. This is a YouTube channel that's all about photography. They do a lot of stuff about Fuji X cameras, which is how I found them. Whenever I picked up the X-T3, which is what I'm recording this video with, I was looking at a bunch of different lenses that I never tried before, and their channel was super helpful for me. I really enjoyed it, and I reached out and just said, hey, I'm picking up an X-T3, your videos were helpful, I really appreciate that. And we started talking back and forth, and Andrew said, the 16mm is an amazing lens, and if you want to try it out, we'd be happy to send it to you so you can check it out and see how you like it. And I've had it for an entire month now, so it was very generous of them to do that. But this lens is amazing. I can't give you like a full review on it, but I've used it for a lot of photos around the house with the kids. It's a 24mm equivalent, and you can focus like ridiculously close with this lens, so it's been a lot of fun to shoot with. I even used it over the weekend. We shot a couple ceremonies in Nashville, a couple wedding ceremonies, and I used it as the bride was getting ready, and photos of the dress hanging up, and it's a really great environmental portrait lens. So I've really enjoyed using it, and I'm getting ready to ship it back. But just to say thanks, I am going to be sending something else with it, and that's this Pro Pack of Velvia 50 in 120. This was actually gifted to me by another photographer quite some time ago, but I never got around to using it. It's a very specific use kind of film, and Velvia 50 out here, especially in the winter, I know this is just going to keep sitting in my fridge, and I'm about to get rid of my only 120 camera again. And I know that Danae and Andrew out in Utah could definitely get better use out of this, so just to say thanks, this is also going with that lens. Danae and Andrew, thank you guys both for sending me this lens to try out. I had a lot of fun with it, and it was very generous of you, so thank you for that. But the other thing that I'm shipping out is the Mamiya RZ67, and this is a camera that I have used and bought and sold many times over the years. One of the early videos on this channel, back when I was filming everything with a GoPro, was me talking about how this camera worked, all the different things you could do with it, and how much I loved it. And I recently picked this camera up again to document my recovery. If you guys don't know what's going on with my health, I'll put a card up at the top of the screen so you can check that video out. I also did another video where I talked about using this camera specifically to document my recovery, and it has been great for that. I've thoroughly enjoyed using it. I think me documenting my recovery, that kind of little project that came of everything, it might be kind of done, I think. I'm not done with recovery, but in terms of things for me to photograph and ways for me to visually show the recovery, I think I'm pretty much past that point, because I have improved quite a bit. In one of the videos, I talked about, my right hand and how horribly affected it was from the nerve damage and not being able to control my right hand, and it was slowly improving. But now, I mean, in the video, I think I could barely do this, and that's routine for me now. It's gotten so much better, and I'm very, very thankful for that. But at the same time, I still have a long way to go. I can now bring a camera to my eye, which I couldn't do for the first couple of months getting out of the hospital, which is why I was using a waist level viewfinder. And now I can do that, although my right index finger is still pretty weak, so I have to use my middle finger to actually press the shutter button. But I'm able to bring a camera to my eye, and because of that, I've been able to get back to doing photography for myself and also for other people. We've had several weddings ever since I got out of the hospital, and I've been able to shoot all of those. I've done a lot of family sessions, functions, engagements, things like that. And I'm very, very thankful that I'm back to being able to do that. But at the same time, my left arm, I can, bring my arm up like this, and my left hand is good, but I can't actually lift my arm up over my head. I can pull it up there with my other arm, but I can't rotate it because the nerves are still healing, and there's basically no signal from my brain to the nerves. So things are getting better, but it's a very, very slow process. I don't have nearly the nerve pain that I had. I barely have any nerve pain at all now, which has made a world of difference. So I'm feeling a lot better, but there are still just, other things that are still healing, and it's going to take time, and it's a slow process. So while I have been able to get back to doing photography, even for hire, which has been great, I'm unable to work in the cemeteries. As most of you know, I also own a business that I took over from my dad, and that's engraving tombstones out in the cemeteries. And due to lifting the equipment and some of the different process there, I don't have the strength or mobility to do that yet. So my last time working was at the end of June, and here we are in December, and I still haven't been able to get back to my regular full-time job. This has definitely affected us income-wise. So my wife and I have talked about it. If it weren't for people who donated whenever I was in the hospital bills, I think I had 8 MRIs done on my brain and every other test, and I honestly don't know what we would have done had we not had that kind of support. So again, I've mentioned it before, but thank you so much to everybody who helped out with that. Before everything happened, we had, scheduled and put down money and planned for some work being done to our house, and we weren't expecting me to be out of work for so long, so we have been pretty tight on money, to say the least. But I've been able to do whatever I can, and one of those things that I'm doing to do whatever I can is letting go of my RZ67 kit. I've got this camera, the 50mm lens, the 110mm lens, the 75mm lens, the prism finder. I have a pretty, substantial kit, but I've sold all of it, and I'll be shipping it out today because money is tight, and this is what I do when I have to. And this is basically what I was kind of wanting to talk about, because I got a lot of messages from people whenever I posted on Instagram that the camera was for sale, and I mentioned why I was selling it. I'm not back to work yet, and this is just what I have to do, but people were still, asking, and they're like, well, I thought you liked that camera. And I do. I love this camera. I love a lot of different cameras. If you've watched any of these other videos, you've probably seen me talk about a lot of cameras that I loved, and they're cameras that I no longer own because I like trying out different things. And in times like this where, if I need to sell something to help pay a bill that month, if business is slow, being self-employed, that happens, it's just what I have to do. It's all about priorities. I even touched on that in my review of the Voigtlander 35mm lens, because I mentioned selling a Leica lens and that helping pay for the countertops and the sink and the dishwasher. These were all things we had planned for, and I did what I had to do. I think maybe for people who have a job that's, they're guaranteed a paycheck every week or every 2 weeks, and maybe photography is just like an outlet for them, and they may have more disposable income. Maybe then they don't quite understand, but for any of you who are self-employed, you know that no paycheck is guaranteed. Maybe those of you who are parents, you get that. We have 2 kids. Our son just turned 2 and our daughter is 3.5. She's had multiple surgeries. She's autistic. We've been to see a lot of specialists and things like that. And parenthood for anybody is not cheap. And, those are the kind of things that take priority. So for me, if I have to sell a camera that I really enjoy, but that's going to help pay for, whether it be the work that we've had done to the house, or pay for groceries, or hospital bills, whatever it may be, then that's what I have to do. And I'm okay with that. That's just part of being a parent and knowing where your priorities are. So while I do love this camera for sure, to me it's just a camera. I have certain cameras that I know I'll never sell for certain sentimental value, My Leica M6 is a camera that I've carried with me and documented the most important moments of my life. That's a camera I'll always have. It was a camera I wanted for years and finally got it. My Minolta XGM, that was my first camera, 13, 14 years ago that started everything for me. And that's a camera I'll always keep, even though it's not the most valuable. To me, it's extremely valuable. So I get where people are coming from whenever they're confused about why I would get rid of a camera, but it's just a camera. It's just a tool. And I'm just another photographer like everybody else. So I don't quite know why people, are concerned or why it would matter to them if I did. Not that they were mad at me. I guess it's still odd for me when people are curious about little things like that. But this is just what I have to do, and that's okay. Maybe I'll get an RZ67 for the 100th time again next year or in 2 years, whatever. I'm just doing what I have to do, and that's okay. So that's what I'm doing today. Again, I kind of just wanted to basically talk about all this because I know some people have mentioned before that they struggle with that, about selling a camera to pay for bills and things like that. You just gotta do whatever you have to do. That's really all there is to it. But also, maybe this was helpful for those of you who were asking about my health and kind of just wanted to know where things were. In no way am I asking for any sympathy or anything like that, because there are hundreds of thousands of people out there, more than that, that are dealing with much worse things than we are. This was not about that. This is just to explain why I'm selling that camera. It's really not a big deal. So if you guys have any questions at all though, or have anything you'd like to say, please feel free to in the comments below. So thank you guys for everything. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.